Let's go back to your brain and let's close your eyes. Did you know we've done studies that you can tell if you will just every hour or every 50 minutes, if you're on 5 by 50, just close your eyes. That's why I ask you with the 10 deep breaths to stand, close your eyes and do those. Then we're getting 2 wins. A lot of people, if you're not doing that, remember, I hope you see that these are all stacking on top of each other to make an extraordinary base of your triangle. A lot of people don't understand the incredible amount of mental tension that is being created by staring at these screens all day, whether it's on your phone, your laptop, your iPad. It's a lot of tension. If you're changing environments a lot throughout the day, you're in and out of a building, it's darker in the building, brighter outside, all of this actually creates a measurable amount of stress and tension in how your visual circuitry works in your brain. And the challenge that people don't realize is it's fatiguing. It really is fatiguing. So no matter what, to stand and take 10 deep breaths, that's a 60-second activity. If that time you close your eyes with it, everything shifts. But also, if you're not going to do 10 deep breaths or whatever reason you miss it, please at least minimally close your eyes every hour. Just sit back, just close your eyes, focus on your breath. Even if you don't stand and bounce, just focus on your breath, close your eyes, let your eyes and your visual apparatus in your brain reset. So much of your brain operates on sight. And because it does, a lot of counts to it. Remember I told you yesterday or in the last session when we did physiology, the power of your brain being a bunch of spider webs all firing circuitry all at the same time. So much of that circuitry comes from as engaged by your eyesight. And so if you have the gift of eyesight, I know we have some people who watch us later on who have developed even greater gifts without eyesight. But if you do have the gift of eyesight, make sure you're refreshing it. Your eyes get tired. And if your eyes feel tired, then your brain feels tired and your body follows suit. And you felt that before, right? When your eyes are just red and hurting and just your body follows suit. It's because your mind is taking a cue and it's releasing hormones that you don't want released in your body. So please make sure every hour you refresh. Turn off the things, close your eyes. It's another reason that to get your sleep, this is going to help you reset. By getting away from those screens in that last hour before sleep, it's going to help your brain wind down because your visual cortex, the way that your brain works, is going to help you dial down and chill out. Let's go over your body. What's another tip? Simple. Stand. Now you see all these stacking together a little bit. If we will stand every hour, take 10 deep breaths, our eyes closed, and we're moving like this, everything is going to shift for us. I know I'm sharing this and it's all stacking on it, but I can tell you people won't do it. I can't tell you. They're like, I wish I could have high performance. I'm like, you must do the simple things to have the extraordinary things in life. And the simple things are the foundational things. That is these together. But no matter what, I need you to focus on standing more. If not just during the hour, not just at the top of hours, but if you sit down for a full time, hour all day for 9 hours a day, it's wrecking your body. So get one of those standing desks or put a box on top of your table and make sure half of each hour, if you sit usually for a full hour, try mixing it up. Go 10 to 30 minutes standing. Go move your laptop somewhere, put a box there, do whatever you need to do. Let's get you standing more often. It will help with everything. Your body will say, thank you. We are not meant to sit 9 hours a day. It's very difficult on the human body, especially today where most of these chairs are just, they look very modern and cool, but they're not comfortable. And so people are wrecking their body and they don't, I got this, my lower back hurts all the time. Yeah, because you're sitting all the time in poor position. And sitting all the time in poor position, guess what happens when your back hurts a little bit? Your mind slows down. Your body starts releasing things to deal with that pain that you don't want floating around your brain. But that's the challenge, is people won't take that common sense. I want you to stand more often in every single way. I'm standing most of the day. People are like, how do you have so much energy? I'm like, I don't sit a lot. I don't. I have a high table right over here, you could see, if you could see the rest of my studio, where I do most of my work, writing out these note cards, filling out this. When I'm doing this, I'm not sitting down. Most of my day, I'm standing, and it gives me that energy. I do sit, but not as much as most people. And even if I'm watching a movie, I'm standing. Did you know every hour on a plane, every 50 minutes, I really follow my 5x50 plan. Every 50 minutes on a plane, no matter what, I get up, I stand, I move. I do body buzzes, as I'll teach you. And it keeps me vital. So make a dedicated pursuit to stand more often, no matter what you're doing. A lot of my clients have taken their meetings to standing meetings. You don't all need to come into an office and sit down for 30 minutes to talk about something unless you have to be doing something specific at the table. So I tell people, do standing meetings. Or a lot of executives that I'll work with at the Fortune 50 level, I'll say, I want you to do walking meetings. Just meet with the person. If you got to meet 10, 15, 20, 30 minutes, go get your journal, walk outside, unless you have to be seeing some presentation somewhere. And even then I say, print it out, walk and talk. Because guess what comes up? Ideas. All the great artists, they walk. Paulo Coelho, one of the greatest living writers today, author of The Alchemist, the 6th most read book in the history of the world. He's been on the New York Times now for 6 years straight. He takes a walk every single day outside in nature. Why? Creativity, life, vibrancy. We'll talk about that too. You got to get up and move. Next, in the breath category, try breath scaling once per day. Now, I'm a little more advanced, so I do it 2 to 3 times per day, and I do breath scaling essentially before every meal. And people think, that's just crazy. If you have not been to High Performance Academy or studied my work in the past, breath scaling is essentially scaling up your amount of breath in terms of intensity and volume and scaling it back down. It's to flood the body and the brain with oxygen, right? It's not hyperventilating, but it's really taking in a high intensity amount and volume of oxygen. And I'll tell you, it absolutely, when I give it to people, they're like, this is like a hit of cocaine. Backstage, doesn't matter the name of the speaker, the big famous people who come to my events, I always, backstage, I'll do breath scaling with them. And they're like, what the heck? They're like, they can't believe it. And then they go kill it on stage because they're fully vitalized. So let's do breath scaling real quick together. So I don't know where you're at right now. If you can stand up and try this with me, you're gonna love this. Just try it once per day. Maybe you do it before lunch. If you are a person who, like at 2 o'clock in the afternoon, die and you need that 60 ounces of caffeine, skip it one day, do breath scaling, and see the difference. I think you'll be amazed. If I could get rid of caffeine in the world, here's how I would do it. I'd say, all you guys got to do, every hour, get up, close your eyes, bounce, 10 deep breaths. And add breath scaling at that point, or those points where you're really fatigued during the day. You'll never need caffeine ever again. Unless you've been really addicted to it, it'll feel hard to come off, but then once you get off it, you're good to go. So here's what breath scaling is, if you haven't studied it with me before. All we're gonna do is we're gonna breathe nice and deep and slow and rhythmic at first. Then we're gonna make it more and more forceful. Then we're gonna make it really, really intense and forceful, then more intense and forceful, and then we'll dial it down to the point where we're not going to freak out. Now, when I do this, I encourage you to stand and do it with me. You'll see I move through mine. Some people will stand in one place. I don't recommend that in breath scaling because you could get dizzy. If you do get dizzy at any point in doing this, please do me a favor, sit down. Stop doing the activity, just find your center, find your breath, and just breathe at your own pace. Even maybe pause this. Breath scaling is intense. It is not for everybody. So please do it slowly and carefully at first. I'm going to show you how I do it personally so you see an example, but you don't have to do it this forcefully or intense. Do what is appropriate for you, but I'm going to show you how intense I get doing it. And I do this backstage before I go on stage. I do this in moments I have to serve because it just gets me there. I do this, like I said, usually before each meal a day if I can. If I'm in a social situation, it's a little harder, but it's very important. Okay, here's what I do. I'm going to try and make sure you guys can hear me breathe real quick. Okay, I'll just start, and it sounds like this. Again, deep breathing, up to more intense and forceful, scale it down. Sounds like this. That's it. That's a breath scale. Now, if you do that and you feel like this incredible body buzz, awesome. If you feel like your hands start going numb or start tingling or your legs are going to fall out, pause, sit down. You're doing too much breath. You're hyperventilating versus managing it. I can modulate it because I have a high VO2 max, and I do this all the time. I'm sure someone is going to pause that picture and go like, here's Brendan. You know, I know it looks intense, but it is like an unbelievable burst of energy. Like, try it. Please, if you did it for the first time and you felt any dizziness, know you were just not used to it. Maybe you don't have that lung capacity yet, or just the practice of it, and your body's not used to it. If you did it and you feel kind of energized throughout your body and your brain, amazing. Watch what happens in 60 seconds, 90 seconds, 2 minutes, and 3-4 minutes. Your energy, your whole body just goes, vroom, you're alive. And it lasts for a good 20 minutes. And it's just a reset. I do this with people all the time. They're like, whoa, what just happened to me? And it might even feel weird while you're doing it. Or some people, if they haven't learned to manage breath, it could feel uncomfortable. But then guess what? Everyone's like, in 3 or 4 minutes, they're like, I'm so clear right now. I don't know what's going on. I'm like, it's called oxygen. It's what runs your body. You just don't usually get it. And then when we give you a hit of it, it's like that hit of cocaine. You're like, wah! You know, I've actually never tried cocaine, so please know that I am joking if you're watching this from other countries. Joke, funny, ha! Okay, breath scaling. I do it 3 times per day on top of the 10 breaths. If you just did this, you'd be a different human to your family. It's why I don't carry a lot of stress. It's gone. I breathed it out. Make sense? That's the power of yoga. It's really so much of the movement, but it's just you're breathing again. I mean, that's why people are like, this yoga changed my life. I'm like, I bet it did. And the breath work was probably the fundamental aspect that shift you as much as the flexibility work, right? And the whole spirit of it, by the way. Okay, back to your brain. Here we go. Meditate. You knew it was coming. If you're not already doing it, I do this twice per day. You're like, Brendan, you got a lot that you do each day. But I'm like, yeah. What did that take? 20, 30 seconds? What does that take? I don't know, 30 seconds to 60 seconds? I mean, it's not like all these are significant amounts of day. I mean, really, the add on this, I meditate once or twice per day for 20 minutes. I usually do twice per day with the release meditation technique or the release meditation technique and transcendental meditation. It's totally up to you what you do. Some people just close their eyes and they just focus on their breath. Some people close their eyes and they just think of stuff. Some people don't think of anything. Some people try to use a mantra to make sure they're not thinking of too many things. I use the release meditation technique. Again, there's training. Here, I'll add the bonus video for release meditation so you guys can learn how to do it. And you can also download the sound that I use in my meditations. I don't always use sound, but usually probably half the time I use sound because if I'm on an airplane, I need that background ambience noise to be gone, and I'll use that. Very, very powerful. Everything we know in meditation studies has proven it doesn't just decrease stress, it also helps with neural functioning now. We are seeing that it actually optimizes the structure, the pathways, and the communication of your neural pathways. It's an extraordinary thing that is changing people's lives. It's been around thousands and thousands of years, but now all the research has been added with fMRI machines to see this is changing people's lives. You need to incorporate this. Look, even if it's a 3-minute, 5-minute, 10-minute, it doesn't matter. Get a meditation in each day. It will change everything. If you historically have come home and not been an extraordinary parent after work because you're just in a bad place, when you pull up to the house, don't go in for 10, 15, 20 minutes. Close your eyes, meditate before. I like meditations that are transition meditations, I call them. So if I'm shooting a video like this, but then I need to go work on my inbox, I'm between the two, I'm going to meditate because I want to approach my next effort with a clear head. Before I go work out, I always meditate. So my mind is clear for that action. I hope that helps you think of like, there has to be a shift. If I get off stage and I'm about to go in a meeting, in a big important meeting with some clients who are there, I'm going to meditate before so I'm fresh. Help? Always have that transition time. It will help. If you add 10 deep breaths or breath scaling to that, boom, big change. Third, I want you to start focusing on your posture and your gestures. Your posture and your gesture. If you're sitting down, sit in a very strong, straight, erect position with your back. right? Keep your neck up. Most people are like this, staring down, and they're in a very bad position. And that's why they have all this tensity around them all the time. I think about how you stand. Lots of people standing in a very, very, very poor posture. They're one hip, the other hip. They're holding their hands in a way that's weighing down their back. Instead, I want you to just make sure you're focusing when you're standing. Kick those shoulders back to be in straight alignment and your neck. I know all the chiropractors are like, hallelujah, hallelujah, hallelujah. Look, people are wrecking their body, not based on just their habits of sitting, their posture. They walk funny, right? They're walking all hunched over like this. Look at people walk. It's like, you are not a caveman anymore. Straighten up that back. Pull those shoulders back. Pull that chest up. Drop that chin so it's level. Hold your head high. Walk with your shoulders in a good position. I know it sounds so silly. It's how you get energy back though. Imagine when you're collapsed like this, you're putting all this stress on your diaphragm, your lungs. You're not getting in full oxygenation, and it's stressing your back, releasing some extra hormones in your body that you don't want to repair the problem. That also slows you down. It sends signals to your body, emergency, pain, problem. And that's all going on. That's all that awful stuff. Now, to energize it, all I want you to do, and this is one of my very favorite things to do with athletes, I say, I want you to gesture more. Gesture more. Our energy comes from how we move. And a lot of people, when they talk, they're like this. And I'm like, no. I want you to move your face. That's gesturing, right? When you're talking, start moving your face more, right? Watch how you talk in the mirrors, like this. Or is it like, move your face a little bit, right? It's like, I tell people all the time, if you're happy and you know it, let your face be told it. A lot of people's face is like, I'm happy. What are you talking about, Brendan? I'm like, smile, use your face. Also, it helps in your nonverbal communication. If people can't read you, start using your face. But also move your body. When you talk, notice how I gesture a lot. It's not because I'm Italian. I move and gesture like this because I didn't used to. And I realized that movement is energy. And if I moved my body a little bit more as I spoke, I'd feel more energized. If I felt more energized, I'd sound more enthusiastic. If I sounded more enthusiastic, I'd have a different level of energetic connection with my audience. They would feel it more, they absorb it more, and their lives could be changed. So gesture more. Start challenging yourself to move more. If you're like, but Brendan, I'm not like that. Look, you're probably not like any of these things because it's easier to be comfortable and lazy than focus on high performance. But these are the things that push you in that edge of extra vibrancy. So give it a try. Third, for your breath, do a walking breath meditation. What does that mean? It's so simple. If you are walking, focus on your breath. So simple, right? If you're walking with a friend, I just want you to focus as you're walking on your breath. That's all. If you're walking from the office to the car, just as you usually would, just focus on your breath. Just use literally walking as a trigger for breath work. If I'm walking, I'm attentive to my breath. People know this in athletics. If you run, you're taught to focus on your breath so you can oxygenate and flow smoothly as a runner, right? A lot of runners' next levels, truly, I've been blessing to consult people who've been on literally the magazines of running magazines, or on the cover of magazines. And the next level of high performance for a lot of runners is posture and breath work. Their gait or their posture is off a little bit, and they have never been taught to learn how to breathe as they're moving. That's the same for all of us. So I use it as trigger. If I'm walking, it doesn't matter where I'm walking, I'm attentive to my breath. And by cueing into my breath, notice all day I'm tuning back into my breath. From my oxygen comes my vitality. And so I'm attentive to it. Back over to the brain side. Minimize multitasking. Your brain gets overwhelmed quickly with lots of tasks. So give it areas of focus. Your brain's incredible. It's doing a lot already. But we can tell from productivity studies, if we can just get you to focus, which you already know, you'll be much more successful at delivering excellence at the thing you're focusing on. Everybody right now is focusing on so many things. They're trying to do a project, but they also, while doing their project, check their tweet, check their Facebook, check their texts, come back to the project, managing this thing over here, get interrupted over there, and their brain is just being fatigued by too many decisions. if you've studied a lot of work recently in neuroscience or psychology, or read things like, the basics, like Baumeister's book on willpower and his historic work in the willpower category, we've learned that the more decisions you make, even little decisions, the more it requires the glucose into your brain to be absorbed to be able to manage it. It's like it just takes calories, if you will. It takes sugars, if you will. It takes hormones, if you will, to run your brain all the time. And in that process of running it all the time, the more decisions that you're stacking up, the more your brain just gets fatigued. So minimize. It's why you see people like Steve Jobs and Mark Zuckerberg wearing the same shirt every day, because they don't want to make that decision. It's why the President of the United States doesn't pick his suit or his meals at all each day. It's a decision he doesn't have to make, and by not making that decision, he saves it and stores it up for other more vital decisions. So you got to minimize the number of things that you're focused on, and you'll be amazed. Like a lot of people, when I sit and work with them in high performance work, I'll sit down. These are like clients who are paying $250,000 type dollars to work with us. I'll literally, it's simple, I'll follow them around the day. I'll be like, I notice right now your computer's open with 13 tabs open. Are you doing something? Are you doing a project right now with all 13 tabs? No, I'm like, knock them down. Like, it's mind share. We want to decrease the amount think about your psychological desktop, right? Think about your desktop on your computer. Is there a bajillion things there? Not good, right? For organization and efficiency. We already know that. Well, think about your psychological desktop. The more that is open, the more it's requiring CPU usage, more RAM usage. So if we can get rid of all of that, we increase your mind share to the moment, to your relationships, to your intentions. Back to body. You're not going to like this one. I love this one. I would love for you at least once per month to do an ice bath or a sauna. I do both every single month, and sometimes I do them more often. We're discovering incredible things about the power of these two things, and I'll tell you why they're important. Okay, why would you ever do an ice bath? Sounds like the worst thing you could ever possibly do, right? Just to get in a cold bath of water. But let me back you up. If you're an athlete, you already know this. You're like, I got it. Right? If you ever work with athletes, you see that after every single game, they're getting into these ice tubs. They're not comfortable. It's like literally, it's water, it's ice, it's water, and they get in, they submerge. Why? Inflammation. That as our body is more inflamed, we've also now discovered so is our brain, right? There is the brain body. I only separate this for convenience of teaching. The brain is the body is the brain. There's no separation. You don't say your heart is separate than your body, and you shouldn't say your brain is separate than your body. It's all the same thing. But for illustration purposes, we know if we have lots of inflammation around our body, we can see hormonal release in our brain that's affecting our thinking. And so we've got to start decreasing inflammation in our body in every way possible. Matter of fact, some of the most cutting edge research as of today, when I'm filming this, is showing the radical influence of inflammation in Alzheimer's, dementia, and cancer growth in the body. That inflammation they're starting to find one of the base problems that we face in our body in every single way, including mental operations, mental operating status, as well as everything that we know about physical movement. But see, most people are so tense, they don't understand it. And they're so inflamed from the food that they eat that an ice bath can actually help them refresh. Now, you should start slowly if you've never done it. Start with cool water and just try that a little bit. And then just cool water and then maybe a small bucket of ice and then a bigger bucket of ice and then 2 buckets or 3, 4 buckets of ice. If you have the blessing of being around one of the, a lot of the new spa services will literally have a machine that you can stand in that freezes you. It sounds horrible, I know. It's totally awesome. It's become a very, very popular thing in athletics as well as in the LA scene, if you will. It's like you literally go in this room that's 200 below zero, and you walk in and you stand there for 3 minutes and you walk out and you feel like a complete different person. You're only in it for 2 or 3 minutes. It's not that long. If you've never done it before, please consult your doctor. Please consider starting really slow. But I can share this with you. If you've ever been to my events, it's me often for 4 days, 8 to 12 hours, depending on the day, standing, moving, being incredibly, when I wear a heart rate monitor machine, it shows that I'm burning the calories and doing the work at a marathon level a day. So I'm basically doing a marathon every single day, literally, in terms of the same exposure, heart rate, calorie burn, everything else. And so I got to take care of myself like an athlete. And the best thing I ever did in my career is every single night I finish on stage, I get up, I do my meditation, I stretch, I talk with people, I stretch, and then by the end of the night, I get in a cold bath. And believe me, I hated it at first, and now I look forward to it. And also, nothing like an ice bath will help you fall asleep. I mean, it's just like you have it, you feel vitalized and amazing, and then you sleep like a baby at night. It's incredible. Just try once a month. Give it a try. A lot of my clients moved up to once a week because they found they feel amazingly refreshed. If you won't do an ice bath, do me a favor. After the end of the shower, just start cold that hits yourself on the back of your neck and your shoulders with some cold water at the end of the shower. I know you're like, oh gosh, that's cold. Go towel yourself up and you'll see within 15 minutes you feel a different level of energy than you felt before, because we know that cold also activates different regions of your body, releases an incredible amount of hormones that make you feel energized. So I really want you to start focusing on, like, at least once a week, just try a cool bath. It doesn't have to be ice, just try a cold bath. You'll feel very refreshed and vitalized. You'll feel years younger. Second, lots of science coming out right now on the power of using saunas. That as we've known for a very long time, it can help with basic detoxification. It helps with your oxygenation levels as well. It helps with lung health, we are finding, but it also helps with stress release. That people reveal, and I know you know this, but a lot of people don't go to a sauna or they don't go to the spa. They don't do this work very often. It's like once a year, maybe on a resort. And people say, well, Brendon, that can be expensive. I'm like, it doesn't have to be. I mean, it doesn't have to be, take a super cold shower or a super hot shower, okay? Start there. If your gym has a sauna, which a lot of gyms do, great, use it once a week. Literally, once a week. If you're already in the gym once a week, use the sauna once in a while. I mean, it's like, if you're like, well, Brendon, I don't like germs. I mean, people have all these weird things. I'm like, just try it. I know, just please try it. Once a month at least, do a sauna and an ice bath or a cold bath, whatever it is for you. I think it will absolutely change how you feel. Last thing on your breath, very simple. Focus on your breath when you are in conflict or stress. If you come home and your spouse or your partner, or you go into your team and there's lots of conflict, that is the time to find your center through the power of breath. And most people don't. When conflict happens, people tend to do the opposite. They breathe in shorter spurts. They get all freaked out. They stop breathing. I want you to purposely set it as a trigger. So I have a trigger in my mind. Conflict, aggression, challenge, upset. I breathe deeper. I focus. As soon as I see it, and what I usually do, your body wants to go like this. I have mastered my body, my mind, my breath, so that as soon as the tension is there, I release. My shoulders go slack. I get comfortable. I get very peaceful. That peaceful warrior thing is going on where I'm very vital. I'm very alert. I can handle it, but I'm breathing more deeply to be able to handle the conflict. And I can tell you, it's blessed me in multi-$100 million deals when I've been at negotiation tables. I've been blessed to deal with major conflicts between people who are literally fighting physically and literally in their relationships. I've done divorce mediation where I've helped couples who are just fighting, just like stop what they're doing, find their breath, close their eyes, revisit the conversation, and seen light years of change in a span of minutes. It's so simple. Get back in touch with your breath. Now, if any of this seemed basic to you, I'm like, great. If any of it seemed like common sense, I'm like, yes. Now, be honest with yourself. Here's the challenge. Go back in each of these areas and give yourself a rating of 1 to 10. Let's do a baseline here. 1 is you're not doing any of these on a consistent basis. 10 is you're doing it. You've been so focused on this. You've been doing this stuff for months and years. You're good to go. And give yourself 1 to 10 on each of these areas. That means there's a possible of 120 points. And I'll tell you, if you're not above 100 points, you're not even anywhere near high performance in life. The next level is so easy for you. Most people can just pick up an extra 10, 15 points over here because they haven't focused on it in so long. Most people, it's so easy to pick up points, but very few people I've ever met in my life when I give them the test are above 100 points, even though it's common sense. So please, again, high performance is sometimes implementing the foundational things to go to the next level, and you're about to see that in our next session. Our next session, we're going to start talking about nutrition and fitness. You add nutrition and fitness to this base of practices, and you're going to feel vital and alert like you've never felt your entire life. Before you watch that next session, I invite you to stand, do your 10 deep breaths, and then do breath scaling. And then do another set of 10 deep breaths. Just see how it feels, and you'll be like, this is actually working right now. We can change your life now doing almost all of these things today, this week, this month. You don't have to wait years to feel better. You can feel better now by managing the foundation of what you've been given in your physiology. I hope that serves you. Look forward to seeing you in the next session. Try it right now. Get up, do your 10 deep breaths and your breath scaling. We'll see you in a moment.